my top young cores in the NBA, the nicest foundation out there. Now, understand the parameters. The parameters were where your top players are under the age of 25. The Philadelphia 76ers weren't included because Joel Embiid is already the age of 25. I said the top young cores right now are number 3, the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic, age 20, and Kristaps Porzingis, age 23. At number 2, the Boston Celtics, still with Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and Marcus Smart to build around. A core that's already taken them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And at number 1, the best young core in the NBA, under the age of 25, the Denver Nuggets, with Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and more. The point that I was getting at that time was paper is one thing. Top 5 picks, rounding out your roster on paper looks nice, but beware of the Phoenix Suns. Beware of a roster littered with prospects and upside. It doesn't often add up to a team on the court that contends. So before we crown the Atlanta Hawks, a team that looks nice on paper, let us make sure they're not the Phoenix Suns first. I like the Hawks, but I know that you got to have a guy. You got to have the guy. You got to have a guy on that roster you can say that right there is the best player on a championship team. Somebody that pulls them forward, somebody that dominates, somebody that takes over. Look at the last, dozen NBA champions. Find one that doesn't have the guy. Kawhi in Toronto. KD 2 years running in Golden State. LeBron in Cleveland. Steph in Golden State. You keep going. You got Kawhi, although young, and also Duncan, although old, in San Antonio. LeBron in Miami. Dirk in Dallas. Kobe in LA. You're going to find the guy. So if we're playing this thing about who has the best young cores in NBA, you got to also ask yourself, who has the guy? Who has somebody under the age of 25 that you could project into best player on a championship team? Jamal Murray is nice. Best player on a championship team? I have my doubts. De'Aaron Fox is nice. Best player on a championship team? I'm not so sure. Devin Booker can fill it up. But best player on a championship team? I don't think so. Here are my top 5 players under the age of 25. That means 24 and below, who I believe could become the best player on a championship team. Just missing the cut, Karl Anthony Towns, who absolutely can make a box score cry. 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 40% from 3. But right now, what I need to see from Cat is a little more toughness, a little more takeover, a little more grit, or questions about how much of that exists in Minnesota. And Jimmy Butler was leading that cross-examination, leading and asking those questions about Karl Anthony Towns. So, just missing the cut, Karl Anthony Towns. Here you go. At number 5, Donovan Mitchell. I do believe that Donovan Mitchell can become the best player on a championship team. He's still only 22 years old. 24 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 36 from 3. And, oh, by the way, if you haven't been noticing, the Utah Jazz are going to be contending. Just trading from Mike Conley to add to a team that has been in the playoffs 2 years running. Not only is Mitchell capable, but he's going to have the opportunity, we can project in the very near future, to be the best player on a championship team. At number 4, a guy I still believe in, although many are beginning to have their doubts, and that is Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. Understand Joel Embiid is not going to be in this list because he is 25 years old. I am still intrigued with the idea that Ben Simmons could be put in a Giannis Antetokounmpo situation, meaning let him drive, surround him by shooters. We know he can play D. We know he can see the floor. We know he can't shoot a 3. That's the biggest knock on him. That's the biggest question mark. But I still would like to see Simmons be put in the right situation, the optimal situation, for him to succeed, for him to win. I still believe he could become the best player on a championship team. And by the way, Ben Simmons is still just 22. At number 3, the Dallas Mavericks' Luka Doncic. 21, 7, and 6 in his rookie year. That's the kind of rookie season that has only been put out there by people with names like LeBron James. That rookie season is almost unprecedented. He's compound interest, as I mentioned earlier. He makes everyone around him better. I believe, without a doubt, that Luka Doncic can be the best player on a championship team. At number 2, it's a guy that Jalen Rose on Get Up this morning agreed with me on this. He said this guy, without a doubt, is one of the best players, best young players in the league. And by the way, Mike Greenberg echoed it and said maybe an MVP candidate as soon as next year.
Nikola Jokic.
Oh, that's your guy.
That's my guy. How about this? He showed up at training camp last year making 1.5. They tore up his contract. By the end of the year, he was making $26 million. And in the MVP conversation, a terrific guy who led the Nuggets to the number 2 seed in the Western Conference is going to continue to ascend as a player.
The truth of the matter is he's a sneaky good MVP candidate for next year if the Nuggets are as good as you think they're going to be.
Because he got more touches than anybody in the league.
24 years old still, Nikola Jokic. An absolute do-everything. I mean, by the way, the definition of a compound interest player, the definition of making everybody around you better. I believe without a doubt that Nikola Jokic could be the best player in a championship team, and I think the Denver Nuggets, like the Utah Jazz, are going to be giving him the opportunity to prove that as soon as next year. And number 1 on my top 5 players under the age of 25 who could be the best player on a championship team is a bit anticlimactic. It's a bit anticlimactic because you have to remind yourself over and over, oh my gosh, he's still just 24 years old. One of the youngest MVPs in league history. As he won it last night, you have to remind yourself, Giannis Antetokounmpo still isn't 25 years old. And you know, I know, we know, he can be the best player on a championship team. He has to just get a little semblance of an outside shot, and then the league better batten down the hatches. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the number 1 player under the age of 25 who could be the best player on a championship team. You give me your thoughts. 888-729-3776 on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I do have a question, though. Do we might just introduce a new player to the league that should get on this list? Guy who hadn't played 1 game yet? Can Zion Williamson be the best player on a championship team? That, and would you want Kyrie Irving? What if he doesn't come with Kevin Durant? Would you want him all by himself? That's coming up on the Stephen A. Smith Show, hosted by Will Cain on ESPN Radio.
At the beginning of the season, I felt like he would leave for New York City.
Don't tell me that the Nets are some kind of contender. You have to do this because it's the right place for you.
Need game tickets? Find your